Good Thursday evening to you, everyone. How are you? It is good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. Welcome, one and all, back to the show. I, of course, am the one and only Dungeon Delver, aka Bill Sylvie, coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the swamps of Central Florida. And let me just say, from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry about the absence of show or even an announcement about the absence of show last night. That is not my typical MO unless something really heavy goes down. I always try and put something out there for you guys. We lost our co-host last night. Kyle was suddenly called out under the weather, and let's see, the result was that we didn't have we didn't have our co-host. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do. I am just we'll do something casual. We'll do something casual, and we'll just we'll just have a wonderful evening, and I'll let everybody know that we're going to do that. And well, as luck would have it, I said, okay, I'll make that announcement at 8 o'clock. I put on a documentary, I put my feet up, and then I woke up around 10. Whoops. I woke up around 10. So yeah, I was a little embarrassed about that, and it was, by the time I shook off the fatigue of sleep, you know what I'm talking about. I just felt like you know what, I was just kind of out of it. I was just kind of zonked, and I said, I'm gonna have to just wave off tonight. And I felt really bad about that, guys, and I'm sorry. That, that's not my MO. That I like to do this. I enjoy doing this for you guys, but I just, nature just caught up with me and was like, sleep. So that's what happened. But anyway, so I won't do that again. If I feel it coming on that the night's just not going to happen, believe me, I will let people know. It will come out well before the hour, because I'm nothing if not on top of things around here. And there is much to be said for me kind of keeping things moving smoothly. So I apologize again to everyone. And I see you folks out there. Daniel Roan, Wheeling Dragon, hello. I'm so glad you're able to join us tonight, and I hope you're feeling at least a little bit better. Damien247, Jimmy Invictus, Rabbit Wrangler, Michael Dale, Michael Connor, Paint Minis Live. Haven't seen you in a minute or two, man. I hope you're doing well. But anyway, the past is prologue, and tonight we have got a heck of a fun show for you. Now, our guest we've got on tonight, he's been on the show before. I'm going to let him speak for himself. I'm going to let him talk about, himself in his own way. But what's cool about tonight is, in the past, when he's been on, he's talked about creating that bridge between software and pen and paper tabletop. He is entirely in our arena tonight, guys, because the folks over at Brave Alice have got something really cool that's in Kickstarter. You can see the link down below, but you know how those things go. They don't nearly tell the whole story like having the creator here. So I'm gonna put my headphones on, and without further ado, I'm gonna welcome tonight's guest. You know him, you love him. He's a software wizard. He's a tabletop game enthusiast. We first met him through our buddy Matt Finch, but he is here under his own power. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and then immediately take them apart when you realize I can't hear you applaud for Aggie Angel Eye. Good evening,
Hello there.
sir. How are you? How are you?
I got
Perhaps I should say good morning.
no, it's really late at night.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've still got you. We still got you on this side of the sun. How
Yeah,
have you been, my friend? How are you?
I'm amazing. That was an amazing introduction. I mean, thank you very much. I'm honored. How are you?
I'm awake and vertical. And honestly, for this audience, that's about as good as they're gonna get. But for you, man, of course, I was like, hey, I gotta bring my A game tonight. So
All right.
I'm doing good. I'm doing very well. I got hit by two hurricanes this summer. Might get hit by a third one. I don't know. We'll just have to
I
see.
was um I was reading your posts on Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, is he okay? But then you announced that you are okay, and I said, all right, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. We get the. I mean, you guys have got that beautiful, calm Aegean sea out there, and here it's just like Mother Nature is like a drunken, abusive spouse. She just staggers in and beats us periodically.
It's sad.
Um,
I know it's sad and hard. And funny story for this campaign I came here to promote. We have booked a guy from Florida to print all the miniatures and
oh
ship
wow.
them in the States. And his half of his studio was destroyed.
Oh no.
But he's
Oh
okay. All his printers are okay, so it won't influence the campaign. But the money is the guy is so sad.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that you know it's just part and parcel, I guess, of living in paradise. But anyway, enough about the unpleasant stuff. So for some of our audience who might not know you, Ag, tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience, your history with tabletop gaming. Give us some of that good info.
All right, so I'm an old school fan, although some of your audience might not consider second edition old school. I started playing back in the 90s with second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I was lucky enough, although I was living in Greece where nobody knew what Dungeons and Dragons was. My cousins came back from the UK and they brought the books with them. So I started playing. I was the weird guy at school. My mother thought I'm in a cult or something. You know how it goes. And later on, I started playing White Wolf games, Call of Cthulhu, which I really love. Then the third the third edition came, and I hated it. And then 3.5, and it was worst. And then fourth, and then fifth. So at some point, I started working as a producer in the video gaming industry, and then I created my own studio, Brave Alice, and we decided to create a virtual tabletop RPG stories.
Hmm.
So I had to learn fifth edition. I was forced to, which is okay. I mean, if you're having fun, you're playing the right edition. It's just not for me and my friends.
Sure.
So then tabletop RPGs became my job, and I was really happy about it, and I'm still am. But as we grew, you hire people, the team is growing, and when you're the owner, you usually just run the company and you don't do anything related to tabletop RPGs. And sometimes, it's a little bit depressing, but the reason I'm super excited is that this project is 100% me. I'm creating this project I came here to talk about. So happy month for me, and the following month, since the project is already funded. Um, I play every week, although I work a lot and I don't have much time. But tabletop RPGs is my life. I enjoy talking to the community, and I'm on Facebook groups and chatting about everything, writing my own stories, publishing my own stories, and you know how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me. Trust me. So you have this new product, which is a bit of a it's kind of a sea change, because every time we have had you on the show in the past, it's been to talk about various software applications for tabletop role-playing games. But you're going straight back into pen and paper with this one,
Yes.
which it caught me by surprise when you reached out and you were like, "Hey, do you want to talk about this on the show?" I was like, I mean, I'll have you on about it, just anything you want to talk about. But yeah, this definitely pinged on my radar a little bit. So I was at first you had my interest, and now you have my attention, or however that saying goes. So I'm pretty hyped about this. And well, I guess without further ado, I'm gonna share the Kickstarter page up here, guys, and the link is in the description below. By the way, below, as in the video. So if you guys want to check this out, and I see you did not rest on your laurels. This sucker is already funded.
Yep.
Which that is awesome, but there's still 21 days to go on this. So first of all, before we get to Q&A, because I've got a few Q's, if you know
Yep.
what I'm saying, tell us what is this about? So I'm seeing a new class inspired by the Diablo franchise. Just kind of give us the 10,000-foot view.
All right. Yeah. So the Necromancers of Monastis is a unique class that exists in my own homebrew world set. So, like most DMs, I play in my own world that I have created. The world is called Moonstone, and I always wanted to publish Moonstone, the actual world.
Mhm.
But I figured that most DMs believe, and have a good reason for that, that their own homebrew world is the best out there. So instead of going ahead and releasing the world Moonstone, I've decided to start releasing books around Moonstone, where I give all the rules and everything the audience needs to convert that and play it in any world set, and adjust it to Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, or whatever world they're playing. So we want to start giving things around Moonstone, and letting people play it in any world set. So I started this with a really, really, really small project. It was 3 quests, 3 treasure hunting quests, actually, that we did like 2 years ago. And all 3 quests were in the world of Moonstone. And now we're going one step ahead with the Necromancer of Monastis. So Monastis is a city-state within the world of Moonstone, and their elite unit are these necromancers. So the idea came years and years ago because of my brother. He loves necromancers. He has all anything related to D&D and necromancers. He has the book.
Okay.
But he wasn't always happy with the results. So like 10 years ago, we started building this class. So this is a really well-tested and old project. And we based that on the Diablo kind of necromancer, where the guy uses summons to fight, and all his spells are curses to help these summons or cause extra damage to the enemies. So we were looking for a true summoner, not a subclass, not a kit, not another wizard that is specialized in the necromancy school, or a priest that does, raises undead with the animate dead spell.
Mm-hmm.
But we are talking about a unique class with its own spells, not the spells in the player's handbook of any edition. So we built that, and we started playing with it, and we really loved it. And especially when it comes to old school game, like second edition, first edition, it's pretty easy to create a class that you like, because back then these games weren't about balancing the classes. So these games were created to role play in a character. Some of them are stronger than others. So if you play a thief, you are not as strong as a fighter.
Right.
I mean, you will lose in any battle against a fighter. And the same with wizards, and every class was different. So when we first created it, we didn't really care to make it balanced. It was just for us. Now, that became part of this world with a lot of lore, a lot of details. And when I've decided that, okay, we're going to release this, we're going to show it to the world, I knew that for marketing reasons, we have to do this in 5th edition as well. So that was the hard part, to adjust the second edition rules and all these. The class has 85 new spells and a lot of rituals, magical items, and things like that. So we had to adjust that in the 5th edition, but also balance the class, because 5th edition is all about balance. Everyone can do anything, and they're all equally powerful, or at least that's what the book is trying to do.
Right, right.
So we are talking about two different classes, basically, because the second edition Necromancer of Monastis is a lot different than the 5th edition. And these guys are something completely new. So we don't take anything from the player's handbook of the 5th edition, and we take very few things from the player's handbook of the second edition. They have their own unique spells, and the fighting style and the spell casting style resembles that of the Diablo franchise. And for people who don't know about it, basically, let's take an example of a 5th level necromancer. Nothing too powerful, but not low level. So a 5th level necromancer in a fight, he is allowed to have one doll, one voodoo doll, or a golem, and he can only summon one. So this golem, according to your preference, does something different. Probably at level 5, you would use the blood golem. And what the blood golem does is it protects the necromancer during the battle. It tries to attract all hits. And when a monster manages to hit the necromancer, the golem loses the hit points and not the necromancer. Okay. And at the same time, he's able to raise skeleton zombies, skeleton mages to inflict damage, which they don't last like forever. So he cannot come up with a huge army by casting 5 spells per day and then end up with 3,000 skeletons. So these summons have a duration. They they fight for the necromancer, and then he can fight like a melee or range, or he can cast spells to buff these summons that fight for him. So basically, what is happening is that the player plays a spellcaster, and he has to decide his next spell to help that zombie or to curse that enemy so that his skeleton can do more damage. But at the same time, as you play, you also feel like a warrior, because you use all these summons and you get the D20 to roll for attack rolls, which a wizard normally never does in the game. Mm-hmm. So it's really fun to play. In the second edition, we allow the necromancer to have a lot of summons at the same time. So you could end up in a battle where if you are like level 7, level 10, you might have like 8 summons at a time. In the 5th edition, because people are looking for a really fast battle that with different initiatives each turn, and people get bored, they want faster things. We have limited the number of summons, made them a little bit more powerful to balance that. And you are allowed to have like a certain number of summons so that the battle isn't really slow. Another nice thing we've done as we were working on this project, because the pre-launch period went really, really well. So we knew it will get funded, and we start working on it really early. Another cool thing that we did is that we added a bunch of optional rules to allow people to adjust the play style. So if you don't want to follow that road, you can follow the road where, even in 5th edition, where the necromancer can summon a bunch of undead and make the combat slower. That's it pretty much. It's something that we felt it's really missing from Dungeons and Dragons, like a necromancer, like you see them in video games and you really enjoy them. But when it comes to D&D, there's no way you can play these because they've never published something that can be called summoner. That the play style is, I summon things, they fight for me. And they have like a small duration, but during the battle, I'm able to do that. And the other aspect is what the necromancer can do outside of the battle. So what we've built, he's a really good spy, because these necromancers can summon little ghosts that they can go spy and come back and report. They are healers as well, because healing spells are in the necromantic school.
Right.
And there is a small branch, because in Diablo, the necromancer has a lot of poison spells as well. So we have added like a magic school of poison that they can specialize in that, and they use spells that inflict poison damage. And that makes them unique because the immunities against poison are rare in the monsters. And there you can create like a kit of an assassin / necromancer, or especially in 2nd edition where multi-class is actually something really fun, to create a thief necromancer or a rogue necromancer and play like that. Now, a little bit of lore, and I will shut up. So another cool thing, because we were seeing that in most video games that have a necromancer, basically you play a necromancer, but you fight against the evil. So are you a good guy? What are you? And necromancers are evil. They cannot be anything else. So we were trying, especially for 5th edition, where evil slowly is not allowed.
Right.
Yeah. So we were trying to figure out and justify why a necromancer would be good, or why someone using all these spells are of a good alignment. And we didn't like any of this. So we ran a survey where basically we posted that survey in several Facebook groups of 5th edition and old school. So all the old school guys said the necromancer must be evil, end of discussion. 5th edition guys were like, oh yeah, I would really love to play a good necromancer. So we had to come up with something. And what we did is we based this optional rule of playing a good necromancer on the lore of this class, because in the world of Moonstone, and especially in the city-state of Monastis, what happened is that these people were just priests, and they were having a power of animating objects. So during like 1,000 years ago, in the ancient times, there were not creating undead, but they were make like a chair fight for them or a rock fight for them. And then obviously they split. The bad guys created the branch of the necromantic, and the good guys, where they are really rare, they can use all of these spells, but animating objects and not actual skeletons and things. So the same gameplay and the same style can be played as a good guy, but basically it's not exactly the branch of the necromancers, but the spells and the gameplay and the playstyle are exactly the same. So we found this cool way. We based on the lore and the history of the world of Moonstone, and we came up with like a good idea on how you can play good, neutral, evil, and everyone can enjoy this. That's the project about. And finally, in this Kickstarter, for people who might visit the page and scroll, you will see that we also offer the PDF. Obviously, we offer the physical book where we will ship it to your place, but we also offer 25 miniatures, either the STL files for people who have a 3D printer and they want to print the miniatures, or we also print ourselves and ship the miniatures to people who don't own a 3D printer. And these miniatures basically are all the summons these guys can summon, and 6 different characters, so you can bring everything to your table and play your class. I think I covered everything. That was a huge monologue. Sorry about that.
Well, no, that's fine. That's, we love the lore dumps around here. Now, I want to get into the specifics of the Kickstarter. You touched on a lot of those things, and I know we're here to talk about the Kickstarter, but gosh darn it, you and I are nothing if not a couple of propeller heads when it comes to D&D. So I want to first of all, I've got to so you kind of hit on something earlier about healing being a form of necromancy, and it is. And I just want to point something out here to people who are like, oh, if it says necromancer, it has to be evil. I am me, I am very much of the classic first edition AD&D. And one of the things that I like most about AD&D are level titles. So if we go over here and we look at magic users, first level magic user is a prestidigitator, second level is an evoker, conjurer, and so on. Look at that. That is the 10th level necromancer. 10th level magic user in AD&D first edition is called a necromancer. There is no alignment restriction on magic users in AD&D. You can be absolutely saintly lawful good, and when you hit 10th level, you're a necromancer. Moreover, if we look over here, let's go to even lowly cure light wounds. Come on. I don't know why my studio PC is lagging right now. Cure light wounds. Necromantic. That's right. Necromantic. Yeah. Again, lawful good. You're casting a form of necromancy. So it's not in first edition. Those old schoolers who you talk to who said, oh, if it says necromancer, it's automatically evil. They're wrong. I'm here to tell you that absolutely necromancers and people who use necromancy per AD&D can be just as good and as saintly as a paladin. So don't believe the hype. Which brings me to my next point. And you knew this was coming. You knew I was going to drag you out behind the woodshed. Yeah, but I think you've given plenty enough reason, because you started there. You started with second edition, so that's why it's second edition and fifth edition, not first edition and fifth edition, or even original D&D and fifth edition and so on, because that's where you began. That's where you hang your hat, correct?
Yeah. And another question, why there is no first edition. I know what you want to ask. So yeah, let me get there.
You read my mind like a comic book, Aggie.
Yeah, I mean it's an obvious question, especially in this channel. So being honest, because at the same time, this is our job. This is what we do as a team. Uh, I wish, I really do, I could release only second edition and first edition content.
Mhm.
But it's hard to survive, and you have to be a little bit more open. So fifth edition is a necessity, and now 5.5, whatever this new edition is called, which I got the book, and we can discuss it if you want. I don't know if you read it. But yeah, so fifth edition was something we're absolutely going to do, and we had to do, and this is what people enjoys, and we're happy to do. Second edition went in the project for two reasons. First, it was already kind of created. Obviously, we had to design things, we had to write down things properly, but it was already done. And another reason was like romantic feeling about the edition, and I really wanted to do it. And what happened when we announced it, because the poster says second edition, fifth edition, a lot of people were commenting on our ads or posts, by 2E, do you mean Pathfinder second edition? And we were like, no, we are talking about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And they were excited. They were like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So we were really happy. And then I realized that we had a lot of comments for first edition. And I mean a lot. So I discovered that what I was thinking that it might be true, that there is a huge first edition audience, and that a lot of people are going back. They are leaving from fifth edition and they go back to second and first. I came to realize that it's completely true, because it's another thing discussing this with your friends, or seeing a few posts, and another thing seeing it through an actual marketing campaign, because we spend a lot of money on ads and surveys and things like that. So we got a lot of requests. By that time, I decided that we need to release this in first edition as well. We need to do it. But I'm not really experienced. I could do it using a little bit of AI or asking a few friends, but this is not how we work. So when we release something, I want to feel like the team who is working on that project is 100% capable of doing it. And I wasn't feeling like I can give like a first edition that will be perfect. And that's when I started looking for someone who can do it for me, and obviously pay, and adjust the budget of the project and find someone to work on that. But I realized there's not enough time, because what happened is that a few people that talk, wonderful people that were experienced with fifth edition, second edition, and they are playing first edition since forever. Some of them were authors, some of them were designers. They were really happy to do it, but they wanted the actual book in their hands in order to tell me how much it will cost, how much time it will take. So when you go on Kickstarter, you want to know 100% when you're going to deliver the rewards. And I was kind of scared of adding in the Kickstarter campaign. Behind the scenes, since it's funded, we are looking on how we are going to make it for first edition, and maybe Pathfinder as well, because we got requests for Pathfinder as well. So that's why we didn't add it the first edition. We didn't feel we had the time to do it properly. And Kickstarter is all about delivering your promise on time. So I didn't want to mess that up. And I didn't want to, because I was going to be, dependent on somebody else doing it. So I didn't want to get funded, deliver the second edition, deliver the fifth edition, deliver all the miniatures, and then something could go wrong and the first edition will be in the air and people will start complaining. So it was kind of risky. And we are planning to release the first edition on our website later on, and let people know that, hey, there's that. So that's my answer. My apologies.
Hey man, you don't have to apologize to me. This is a very, very cool looking thing. And the fact that you and you know, I, I think it's just really, 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 really respectful of you to say, we want to do this for first edition, but we want to make sure we do it properly versus, oh yeah, well, we'll just say it's for first edition and knock off a couple things from second edition and that'll keep them happy. That you want to do this properly for first edition it is really cool. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing this done for 1E. And the fact that you're offering it up on your website at a later time, I don't think that devalues it at all. In fact, that you're taking the time to, as you say, do it properly gives me a lot of confidence that it is going to be done properly and not just something you quickly slap together. Because I'll tell you what, I've designed my own first edition class before, which kind of parallel to this. Last year, I created a witch, which and other people have done it. There's like 3 or 4 witch classes already been done for D&D over the years. It's not easy. It's not just like, well, I'll just sit down and hack this out, especially with a spell casting class. So you're taking on a really big task, and I salute you that you've gotten this done with something unique that's not just like, well, we'll just take some spells from here, some spells from here, make it a variant magic user and call it a day.
I'll tell you what it is, because some things are a little bit about luck. So we created this like really sloppy 10 years ago for my brother to have like a necromancer to play the way he wanted to.
Right.
And I was really lucky back then because all the players in that table were willing to pause the game and discuss that maybe the spell is overpowered, maybe this caused that problem. So we kind of designed it by playing. And that helped a lot over the years to come up with a class that, after 5 years, we had the class ready and we were playing with it. I played it as a dungeon master, as a player. Several players played it. And we knew that this is really fun. It's not overpowered. It's not something like a demigod walking. I would say it's something between a cleric and a mage of the second edition, something in between. It's not like that powerful as a 20 level wizard, or it's not overpowered. It's not from the brown books, the handbooks that TSR released, that they had like crazy things with chaos wizard and things like that. It's well written as well. So I was really lucky because everyone helped, especially being patient to discuss the rules and come up with ideas so that, hey, this is a little bit too much. The druid can do that, so the necromancer cannot do that. Things like that, discussions. And all the guys who play tested were great. And now we were planning this campaign for over 2 years. So we knew it was coming and we play tested again. We started play testing in 5th edition as well to see how it could fit in that system. Because the 5th edition system, it's easy. If you play, it's really easy. You just roll a d20 and, everything is like a straight line. But when it comes to spells, because they've tried to balance everything, and you can see it in the design, maybe people don't feel it, and maybe people think that 5th edition is not balanced, and maybe that's the problem with 5th edition. But as a designer, when you read this book, you realize that everyone is powerful. You cannot, basically, an example I give to people is, if you play 1st edition and you decide that you want to create a character like Frodo Baggins, you can actually do that with the rules. When you play 5th edition, you cannot create Frodo Baggins. It will be a ninja guy who can do something. It's impossible to create a commoner. You know, yeah. So we had to bring that into a balance to not be like really powerful or not powerful. So it was a lot of work. Uh, and you know how spells are. A small word or a comma can change the meaning and bring argument around the table if the
Oh
spell goes
yeah.
bad, all that. So you need to be extra careful on how you put things. And I must admit, because I trash fifth edition a lot, but the wording of the spells in fifth edition is well written. You understand what the spell does every single time. Um, so yeah, it was a lot of work. And because you mentioned witch, I've seen a Kickstarter campaign of a witch for second edition like a year ago, and it was an amazing class. But yeah, now they have the warlock, which basically it's the witch,
Yeah.
uh, and it's just another wizard with a little bit of lore behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that homogenization, and there's a degree of it that I understand. I mean, you try and create a common language. I mean, if you've ever looked at, and I don't know if I believe you said you have, but like the basic versions of Dungeons and Dragons, the
Yeah,
blue, the turquoise box and the magenta
over
box
there.
there. Yeah, they're a very smooth, easy to digest language for the beginner. I won't say younger players. There's no age for it, but there's an ease to it, but certainly there's a curve up. But to me, and I'm not edition warring. I'm just sharing an observation. To me, it seems like with fifth edition, there's never that power. The power curve comes in the just the amounts of neat toys that they heap on the players, but the simplicity, and I mean that in a negative connotation, with fifth edition, like it never, the language never gets more complex. The language never gets more intricate for fifth edition. It always, to me, feels like, as fifth edition as a game has grown, that it's just stayed on this very baseline, simple. No, we can't make this too complex. We have to have we have to have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
low
yeah.
level of
It's not
entry.
edition. It's not edition war. It's just a different game. It's not
Yeah.
bad. It's not bad at all. I'm playing here in the UK. I play with a couple of Italians, fifth edition. I'm having
Uh-huh.
lots of fun. Lots of fun. Pizza, D20, drinks. We kill monsters. It's fun, but it's a different game. First of all, it's almost impossible to die. So you're not afraid. You can do whatever you want. You
Yeah.
can try anything you want. And then you have to fail in 3 rolls in a row in order to die, and by then someone is going to heal you, so it's almost impossible to die. It's a different game. It's not about good or bad or that this edition is better. It's about what you like, but it's a different game.
Yeah,
And
you hit, you hit on the essential there. It is a different game, and something else. I mean, in talking about the difference of the game, to kind of come back to necromancers, I love the design language that you have expressed about how you guys have approached this project, because um classic D&D, uh and I'm including second edition in that, but classic D&D, and I think this is something that you saw at your own table when you guys were creating this class. It is an organic process. It is create the class, what works. Okay, we all decided that's ridiculous, we're not doing that. You guys played this out at your table, and it grew organically over a period of time, versus, hey, the guys in the head office said necromancers are really cool because of Diablo, so design me a necromancer class to go out in the next handbook. Okay. you know
yeah, it just happened. We are lucky, and we are I'm pretty sure that the reason we've raised 20K already, it's because, and I didn't, and that's my bad, I didn't know, but at the same time with the campaign, Diablo released a new expansion, so we're lucky. One thing I want to say for fans, old school fans like second edition, first edition, and fifth edition, because we are releasing the books for both editions, I want to pinpoint something.
Okay.
So in second edition, every class has a role. So if you go in a dungeon, who's going to check the doors? The thief will check the doors. He's going to check for traps. You are not opening a door before the thief. And
Right.
if you are scared and your mage or your magic user is smart enough, you will also detect magic before you open a door. So each class has a specific thing to do, as in role playing. They all have a role, a specific role. So you role playing because you choose your class to role playing and have an actual role in your party. And we kept that with the necromancers for the second edition. So he has a role. In battle, he's the perfect tank because he can put the summons in front of him and, or ask the summons to do a small task like give this healing potion to my dying friend. So he's a healer, he's a tank. Obviously, he's not going to fight like a warrior, but, and he has really cool out of battle spells to investigate, to check things. So we kept the role. In fifth edition, where things are kind of different because they have this skill tree, or not skill list. And with a few penalties, everyone can check for traps, everyone can climb, everyone can investigate, everyone can try and convince someone to do something. So you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's not like the rogue that is going to check on the doors or the ranger that is going to do the tracking to find the steps and follow the enemy. Everyone can do everything with different roles, but they can do it. In older edition, a fighter cannot check for traps. End of story. He does not know how to do it. So in fifth edition, we kept that in our head that, it has to fit the edition and the design. So the same care we had for the second edition version, we also did for the Necromancer of the fifth edition. And it's cool because the book we're going to give has both editions in it. And they look really different in the text and in the art style, the design, all these things. And what I'm hoping, and that's like a little secret, what I'm hoping is that players that likes old school, they're going to also read the fifth edition and will spot the differences, and maybe they will like the fifth edition more and try it, and the opposite. Fifth edition fans, they're going to get the book in their hands, they're going to read their favorite edition, and then they're going to check, okay, let me see what the hell is going on in that second edition. And maybe they will find something cool there and try to play. So yeah, I'm really happy because we are bringing two different, in my opinion, games closer with that, and it was a challenge. I'm tired.
I can imagine, and I think that's really the best approach to take. I mean, as a guy who wants more people to play classic Dungeons and Dragons, second edition, first edition, any of the flavors of basic, original D&D, whatever it is, I want people playing classic D&D. I don't care what road they took to get here. If I'm throwing a cookout, if I'm throwing a barbecue here, I don't care how you got to my house. I want you to enjoy the food. I'm not going to have an argument that, oh, you shouldn't have taken the interstate. You should have come up the county road, or, you shouldn't have come through the back of the neighborhood. You should have come over here through the front of the neighborhood. I don't care how you got here. And it's this, it's the same with something like this. If stuff like this, if for first edition, fifth edition, for first edition, second edition, and fifth edition, for blah blah, in Pathfinder. If that gets people considering classic D&D and they look at it and then they're like, no, I think that's a little cooler and I think that's what I want to try out next. I'm going to go, I'm going to grab these PDFs, or I'm going to grab Dad's second edition books, or I'm going to find a set of AD&D books on eBay or down at the local used bookstore. If that gets them here, I'm all for it. And that is really the way that it ought to be. And I like your mindset, because I think you and I, we're simpatico in that respect. Now I do want to ask, I want to get a little bit into nuts and bolts on this before we go back to the Kickstarter. If this is a little too much into the weeds, if this is a little bit more of, well, Bill, you'll have to buy the book, please don't be afraid to say so. But I want to bounce some questions off of you.
Yep.
So AD&D, and I think this is a good thing, AD&D leans heavily into class race restrictions. What are the races that can play necromancers for the AD&D versions?
All right. So I know very few people who are following this rule. And I disagree, because this rule is there to explain why humans is the best race. They don't have all these bonuses, but they can play everything and they can go really high. So for the second edition, for several reasons, we have decided that the necromancers of Monastis are priests, not wizards.
Okay.
There are several reasons. I will mention reason number one, which is, if a priest can turn undead or control undead, then anything related to undead is closer to a priest than a wizard, because he is the specialist. He is the one who turns undead and controls undead. And he's the one who can pick the animate dead spell when he reaches the 5th level. And a wizard can cast animate dead when he's 9th level. So for several reasons, and based on the role, on the lore of Monastis city-state of Moonstone, we decided that they were priests. Now, in the second edition Player's Handbook, all classes, or all races can play a cleric, because it's about priesthood. But we didn't follow that. So a necromancer for the second edition, but we have added this as an optional rule, basically. Like, if you want to follow the restrictions, so a necromancer is humans, half-elves, and anything that resembles a dark/drow elf. That's it. No gnomes, no dwarves, no halflings, no hobbits, no kenders, that's what we do. But we have the optional rule, like, if you don't want to follow that, go ahead. So this is it.
Okay. And well, then the next logical question, what about alignment? Because we talked about, people saying, oh, necromancer got to be evil. For classic D&D, what are the alignments?
All right. So again, since this is based on Diablo, and I have no shame, the idea in Diablo, because the necromancers are really evil guys who raise the dead. The idea is, the whole concept of these necromancers is that Diablo and the demons are trying to destroy the world. So they are trying to destroy balance. The heroes of the light cannot do the job. I'll do the job. So he comes with all the undeads and kills all the demons. That's the idea of the necromancer of Diablo, basically. That since the heroes of the light cannot do it, I'll do it. So you play a necromancer that is trying to sustain balance and kill the demons. In the world of Moonstone, the idea is that there is this good branch that uses the old ways, And they're the evil guys with the evil concept that I want to take souls, I want to create undead, so I'm going to give you afterlife and all these things. And we allow as well, like the true necromancer, the guy who raises the dead, has all the spells, to be neutral. The idea behind it, and we explain that in the book, is that in certain circumstances, you would do anything to save your family, your country, your city, or whatever. And just because in the world of Moonstone, and now I'm getting into deep lore, but the whole world of Moonstone is based on the idea that the gods who created this world, when they reached the domain of Moonstone and they saw chaos, they fought chaos like all gods did to create world, but they never really managed to destroy chaos. They imprisoned chaos. So what is happening with Moonstone is that every now and then chaos powers come into the world trying to destroy everything. So evil and good have to unite to fight that chaotic situation. So we see that a neutral necromancer will go in a fortress full of paladins and say, if you want to save your ass, sorry about my language.
Oh, don't worry about
I can bring 100 skeletons with me and fight. And if you are dealing with ultimate destruction, well, why not? So based on that, we allow all alignments, but we base it on lore for two reasons. The one is that we want to promote Moonstone, fair and honest. The second is we understand that some people don't care about these things, but we want to give lore to justify why we allow it and not just say, okay, play anything. And that's something I didn't like with a new player's handbook. There are no alignments at all.
Yeah.
There are behaviors. So nothing is bad, nothing is evil, nothing. Okay, I get it. But we wanted to justify every choice you play. And also, again, being honest, when you release a book, you want to give something instead of tables and spells.
Right on. Right. Yeah. No, I've got it. So yeah, I mean that covers the two big mechanical questions I've got. Oh, there is one other. This is one of those things that I, as a DM, allow this, but I've never had a magic user take or a cleric, illusionist, what have you, really take up the offer. But did you guys develop cantrips for necromancers, 0 level spells?
For second edition, no. For fifth edition, lots, because it's in the rule.
Right.
So
yeah, it's very baked in.
Yeah. So we didn't develop cantrips because, as I mentioned in the beginning, during battle, this guy can summon like 2 skeletons to fight, but the duration is short because we didn't want to make like a factory of undead. Because if you if the create skeleton spell is 1st level and a necromancer of 9th level will be able to create 5 skeletons per day, and that means over the year he will come up like with, even if the material component is a full body, they will create 1,000 skeletons at some point. But what we did is that we added rituals in both editions where, with certain ingredients, materials, and time, they can create all the undeads of the monster's manual. So instead of cantrips, we give rituals where the necromancer can do several things, but it takes time and it needs money. And that's something I don't like with a lot with D&D in general. If you go to all the editions and you check the treasure, if the party is lucky, it's pretty easy to get like a lot of money, a lot. Especially in second edition, you can get like 30,000 gold pieces, and there's nothing to buy, nothing to do with them. So I always like to add like expensive components and things in specific rituals that are powerful, You cannot do them without these materials, but it gives a new layer in the game that the necromancer doesn't really care about money, but with that money, they can buy the third eye of that creature in the market for 10,000 gold pieces, and then they can cast the ritual, which is powerful, but they cannot do it every day because they need the ingredients. So it gives depth to the class, and also at the same time ideas to the dungeon master how to create new stories. Because if the dungeon master knows that in order to create a skeleton giant, the bad guy, the necromancer, needs this, and that, he can literally build a whole story on a necromancer who is trying to get these things in order to create the giant skeleton. And the players are trying to stop him and understand why he is buying all these things. So yeah, I thought that that's a better investment instead of cantrips. In 5th edition, we had to add cantrips because it's a thing. All
Right.
spellcasters have cantrips, and
Yeah.
they can cast the same spell again and again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah, the economics of spell casting in 5e. I mean, that's one of those things we could be here all night talking about.
I know.
There so a couple more mechanics questions, unless anybody else has got some out there, and then I do want to jump back over and look at the Kickstarter. But so Daniel Rowan, a mechanical question here says, how do you handle animate dead as a spellcaster in the case of the necromancer? And I think his follow-up question you just answered, but is that uh is that something that you can go into, or is that revealing a little too much, or what there?
No, I'm happy to share. So,
Okay.
sorry about that. So what? Daniel almost killed me.
No.
Oh, embarrassing. So what we did in 2nd edition, because it's all about spheres in 2nd edition. So what we say is that there is this new sphere that is called monastis, because it's their own sphere, where
Mhm.
they have all these spells nobody else can take. And based on lore, they don't teach this sphere, obviously, to outsiders. But they also get access in some of the spheres of the original spheres of the player's handbook. So they have access to the necromantic spells if they want. So they can take Animate Dead. Because Animate Dead is a specific spell that creates an undead, but according to your level, that undead is more powerful, has more hit points, things like that. On the other hand, the spells of the Necromancer of Monastis has really specific spells that do really specific things. You raise a skeleton mage that can cast Magic Missile, and it will be around you for 10 rounds. And then, poof, they go away.
Mhm.
Animate Dead is a whole other story. You raise the undead, it follows you, it obeys you until it dies. So we allow access in some spheres. So the list of spells these necromancers have is their own spells, and underneath the ones of the player's handbook that they have access if they want to pick those and not the ones of the book. That's how we deal with the animated and other necromantic spells like Speak with Dead, because we thought it's sometimes we did it. Sometimes we thought that's a cool spell. Let's make it specific for the necromancer of monastics. But then we figure out that if the world already knows how to cast Speak with Dead, it will be ridiculous for the necromancers of monastics to have their own type of Speak with Dead at the same level. So we didn't want to play smart, and that these are better spellcasters than all the rest spellcasters. So they have access to these spells if they want. Now, in the 5th edition, we don't do that.
Mhm.
All the spells are unique. Again, because of balancing. And because another problem the fifth edition has when it comes to designing, no, I'm not trashing the edition, is that a lot of spells belong to different classes. So the
Mhm.
druid can cast some spells that the cleric can cast, and vice versa, and the warlock and the sorcerer and the wizard. So we wanted to create something really, really unique because subclasses in fifth edition is a thing, and we really wanted to make people understand that this is a new class. You've never seen that. You maybe won't like it. You maybe prefer the official necromancer of Wizards of the Coast. Fine, but this is something completely new.
Mm.
Maybe it's bad. Maybe you will hate it, but it's new. So in fifth edition, we went that way.
Well, we'll definitely. I'm definitely interested in digging more into that. It, from the classic D&D standpoint. Um, oh, here's a question from Savo. I'd like to know something about the Moonstone setting. For instance, why that name?
Okay, I have a question for you, Savo. How old are you? So why that name?
I know of that name, but you go ahead first.
So when I
Andy.
was really, really young, my father brought in our house to me and my brother an Amiga. And with the Amiga, which is basically a computer to play games back in the 90s,
Hmm.
like Atari, um, they had, he brought the Amiga and he had like 5 games with it. One of the games was the best video game ever created, called Moonstone, A Hard Day's Night. And not night as dark, night as the paladin, the night, hard day's night. So you had a night and you were fighting monsters, and it was an amazing game. We loved that with my brother. We had lots and lots and lots. That's the game. Well done. Lots of arguments, and lots of fights because it's a multiplayer game. You can play against each other. You can find it online and play it even now.
Hmm.
Um, and that's another little secret. I have contacted the guy that created. He still has the copyrights, and Rob Anderson. And
Yes.
we talked about maybe creating like a new version of this game, but I'm still waiting for answers. So yeah, it's in my plans. I really want to. So Moonstone as a concept, I really liked it, and I really liked the name, and maybe it was my first step into a fantasy world.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's an Amiga.
Yeah.
So when I created the world, I came with the idea that the reason chaos, that it's still around, it's imprisoned, but it's not destroyed, is that during these big fights between the gods, managed to corrupt the moon and break a small piece of the moon that dropped uh, on the lands. So there is this moonstone, the actual moonstone in the world, in a specific place, that keeps basically chaos around and gives chaos the power to escape prison for a short period of time and do things. And obviously, everyone is trying to find where that moonstone is, where it dropped. So when I wrote that, I said, okay, we are going to call this world Moonstone. But as in most D&D worlds, the planet is not called Moonstone. So, for instance, you have like Dragonlance, but the continent is Anselon. So the continent is the continent of Moonstone. The whole world has a different name that I'm not going to reveal in this interview because we're still thinking about it. But in the campaign, if you visit the campaign and scroll down just a little bit, you will see that we have Moonstone's Genesis PDF for free. It's a small PDF where you can see how the world was created. Like no, just scroll a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It's after this poster.
after this poster.
Yeah. Scroll a little bit more. There you go. Monsters
There we
Genesis.
go.
This is a free PDF for all, where we introduce how the world was created, and there you can find more answers.
There you go. I will let's see. That is a straight yeah. One more time in English. That is a straight link to the document I am put up in the chat there. So you guys can check this out. Savo says, I will hold this piece of esoterica close to my heart. Thank you. The reference to the obscure computer game from the Triassic era. You young punks don't know what we had back then. It was awesome.
They don't know the struggle,
yeah.
Of blowing the disk in order to make it work. They don't know about that.
Swapping floppies. It's a 3 floppy game. You got 2 floppy disk drives, Yeah.
And have you ever thought that the floppy disk survived as the save icon? Have you ever realized that?
Yes, and I have seen now. No one has ever said this to me, but I have seen the meme where somebody says, you
3D printed the
you 3D printed the save icon. That's neat when you show them a 3.5-inch floppy. But yes, back in the day, I mean, my first hard drive, and I got a hard drive fairly late. I got a hard drive in 94. I think 93, 94, $189. It was a Seagate 60 megabyte hard drive that went inside my Amiga 1200. But yes, so we had the struggle back in the day that we knew we were on the frontiers of computing experience. I tell you what. So let me make sure. One question: have you worked with a Savage World system? Michael Connor asks.
So, if anyone is willing to invite me to a game, I really want to play. Never had the chance. I don't have experience with Savage Worlds, and I want to because from several posts I've seen and people talking about it. It sounds like a very well designed system, but I'm not familiar with. No.
All right. Well, there's your answer. So anybody got an open Savage World game? Invite Aggie. He's ready and willing to learn. Okay. So now I still, guys out there in the audience, still please, whether you're talking about the mechanics for first edition or first, second, or fifth, ask away. I will pin them and come back to them, but let's take a look at the Kickstarter because I'm always keen to talk about the goodies in Kickstarters. So you're clearly already funded. You're at 19 grand, and I think one or two people mentioned that they decided to throw in for this. Yeah, you're still sitting at just a hair under 20K. So let's see. Let's talk about the miniatures a little bit. So it's 25 3D printed miniatures, necromancer character miniatures. You said there were 6 of those, right? Or is that okay?
So we have 2 different necromancers, like meaning the style. Maybe someone wants that guy, or and we also have the necromancers riding a nightmare, because high level necromancers can summon their own nightmare. So we have these plus all 20 summons that are in the book. And since we are a gaming company and we have 3D modelers, we decided, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to create all the miniatures. So because we know how important are for people, and we thought maybe someone would like to, go to the table with the new book and all the miniatures and say, okay, I summon a skeleton. Here's my skeleton. I got it from the Kickstarter. And usually on Kickstarter, you see STL files. Basically, STL files address people with 3D printers. They can print on their own. But we met this amazing guy, Robert from Florida, and we are also printing and shipping for people who want to order them. Yeah, that's it. The 3D artist is called Helen. She is 22 and she's amazing. I've never seen anything like that. She's fast. She has lots of fantasy. She really understands tabletop games, and she created better miniatures that I was asking for. I mean, she did an amazing job.
All right. Well, I mean that sounds fantastic. I'm a big fan of miniatures. I have my shelf of shame over here of unpainted ones, but I do still love the
I
minis.
paint. I try to paint. I'm not good at it, but yeah, I'm learning in my 40s. I decided to start painting.
Uh, right on, man. Right. Oh, to be 40 again, to be young. So let's see. Stretch goals. Let's hop down and take a look at stretch goals. What do we got under the stretch goals that you want to that you'd like? Anything you'd like to tell us about?
So all the stretch goals are basically around Moonstone. We want to give more lore about Moonstone, create the map of Moonstone, give magical items of Moonstone related to the necromancers. Basically, these are future projects that if we get enough funds, we're going to release them with this campaign. Otherwise, basically, we're trying to decide when and how we're going to release Moonstone. I'm a little bit scared about it, to be fair. So the stretch goals are all related to the world and the lore. So you get the map of Moonstone, extra lore about Monastis and the whole region of that place, all the magical items we have for the Necromancer of Monastis, and not just a few that are mentioned in the book. And if you scroll down further, you'll see that we have like stretch goals with question marks, where basically we imply new editions, like first edition Pathfinder, maybe. But yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So we get some Foundry stuff there. So guys, if you want to see this, if you want to see this cool stuff, help push it. You got 21 days. If you're like, I gotta wait for payday. You got time. You got time, but don't miss out on this. Yeah. This looks this looks really good. Jimmy brings up, and I gotta back him up on this one. Paint while your eyes can still take it. I mean, I don't wear these because I think they make me look smart, Aggie. Okay.
Yeah, I understand. I paint a lot. I do, and it really calms me down. But after a year, I've realized that I will probably never be really good at it. I mean, you paint something, and then I go and I show it to my wife or my brother or whatever, and I'm really proud about it. And then I go to bed and I scroll on Instagram and I see all these amazing people painting.
Stop that. I'm going to hack into your house's Wi-Fi and block anything. I'm gonna just like do a wild card block with miniature painting, so you're not gonna see anything. The worst thing a new painter can do is look at other people's miniatures on Instagram.
Yeah,
please don't go to Cool Mini or not, because you're gonna look at the people clocking 7s, 8s, and 9s and just be like, hang on a second, and then go throw all your stuff in the trash.
Well, I'm not gonna do it, but at least I understand that I'm not that good.
yeah. I mean, you're not gonna crystal brush, you're not gonna golden demon out of the chute. And to be honest, I mean, I game with a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds for the most part. I mean, occasionally you got some young punk that sits down with us, but I kid. But for the most part, the stuff is seen 3 to 4 feet away. If it looks good at arm's length, it's fine.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
fine.
And
Um,
I learned how to paint by massacring all the Hero Quest miniatures I have. Um,
oh, there you go. There you
yeah,
go. It's like Bardic Broadcast said. Many a young man learned how to paint miniatures with with the Hero Quest
yeah,
miniatures.
yeah.
But I won't
So
try to do his voice, but he's very right about that.
and I thought that they were really bad because if you take them and look at them, they're bad. But when we played Hero Quest and I was um, seeing them from 3 feet away, they looked pretty good. It was
Yeah,
nice that they were painted. So yeah,
it,
you're right. You're right.
it looks better than monochrome metal or plastic.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, even if we're just talking about a skeleton that you throw a black wash on so it has definition, it
Yeah,
looks better than just a piece of plastic you snipped off to sprue and set it out there. So um it's 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 all about what looks good to you. um let's see, did we have a quick, okay, Elvin Maiden, one of our favorite folks around here. Everybody is my favorite folk around here, to be honest. Says she recently learned about Gary's new class ideas for his second edition AD&D that pushed her to experiment with a class that works with cards instead of dice. Have you ever considered a class that was really, truly, mechanically, just completely off the wall? Anything like that?
no, but I really like the idea with the cards.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. You guys should put your. Let me tell you what. I'm just going to throw this out here. Emmy does this absolutely amazing zine called Tales from the Tavern. You two should talk.
Yeah,
That's. I'm just saying. You guys. I you know what?
I'm
I
more than happy to promote as well. I really
well.
enjoy working with other creators. So my name, you can see my name, Agis. You can find me in all social media under that name. And if you go to bravealice.com and email, I will see it. So more than happy to discuss. And I really like that card idea. And now that you said card, although this is like a different thing, I understand it's a different thing. There's a Kickstarter running right now from a guy. I can't remember the name. What he did, he's an artist. So what he did,
Mhm.
he took all the spells of fifth edition. He created a small illustration, and he's giving cards where in the back there's a beautiful illustration based on the spell, and on the other side you have like the spell written. uh it's not like a big campaign or a famous campaign. It barely got funded, but it was so beautiful. I was like, if someone creates that for first edition or second edition, I'm gonna buy it. um and cards are really cool. I really like cards. um yeah, cards instead of dice.
Yep.
Please
So
send me an email.
okay.
I want to discuss that.
I'll hook you two kids up if you want.
Mhm.
In the design sense, guys, calm down. But Sabo with another question: how did RPGs break into Italy? Which games were unusually popular or unusually unpopular? Sabo said they purchased Lux Arcana exactly because it was Italian.
I'm not Italian. I'm Greek.
I
It,
wasn't gonna say it, but
yeah, but it's kind of the same thing. So D&D became really famous in Greece after Stranger Things. So it became a thing that you can walk in Greece and say, "Hey, I play Dungeons and Dragons," and people know what it is. Like now, after Stranger Things and Big Bang Theory, because they mentioned D&D.
right.
But I started playing because of my cousins that came from the UK and brought the books. But people really started playing with third edition because back then, when the third edition appeared, there was a bit of change in Greece. Um, when it comes to what kind of music was promoted and movies were promoted. Lord of the Rings really helped as well later on, uh, but never got really big. It was like I was the only person at school. Me and my brother were playing D&D. That was it, and I was in a big school with 400 kids, so it was rare. When third edition came, they did the mistake, and I'll explain why, because this is like a different thing that we have in Greece. They did the mistake to translate the books. I know that in Italy you translate everything, even movies, and but in Greece, maybe because of our language, all these Tolkien kind of fantasy things in Greek sounds a little bit funny and ridiculous. So we don't really translate fantasy things. So if you translate Lord of the Rings, you cannot read it. It's just funny. Um, and a lot of people was making fun of the translations and things like that, and people start talking about it. And then the English books came, people started buying it. Lord of the Rings, I think, was the number one reason people started looking at it. And when internet went popular, more and more people started playing. Fun fact: Magic the Gathering was more famous in Greece than Dungeons and Dragons for a long time, like card games.
I can believe it. I can believe
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
A lot less of a buy-in. You can go pick up 3 or 4 packs of cards and play a game with them versus that you can learn in 20 minutes versus, you know, hey, buy 3 hardback books, these dice, maybe some miniatures, and then
yeah,
spend weeks, months learning the intricacies of the rules just for your class, or heaven forfend, you're going to be the dungeon master. So yeah, uh, Magic by far. I don't play it. I'm not a fan of it, but yeah, the entry point is much lower than for even simple versions of role playing games.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So, when once this gets rolling, first of all, you mentioned this a bit in the stretch goals a little bit, and you kind of teased about this earlier. Uh, so you is the eye towards a fully fleshed out, a fully realized Moonstone campaign setting to be published.
Yes, but I'm not sure when.
Okay.
And the reason is that we have several plans with the team. First of all, we still have to deliver some of the things of the expansion we did with Happy Stories. So the dev team is working full on. This
Mhm.
campaign will take a while to be fulfilled because you have to go print and then ship everything. It takes time. We usually all digital rewards are given right away, but then you have to wait, and it's not really good to start another campaign without having fulfilled the previous one.
Of course.
So
Of
after
course.
that, after this campaign, we are going to collaborate with another team, and we're going to do a 50-50 campaign, collaborate and form an alliance where we're going to do a book and miniatures campaign again, and it will be about pets for D&D. Uh,
Right on.
I cannot say too much because we haven't announced it yet, but it will be pets. So basically, all the miniatures will be pets for D&D, and the book will be on how you can have your own pet and how it can level up and what kind of powers it has. So we are going to invest our time on pets. The guys are fifth edition people. There is a thought of taking their work and make an old school edition compatible. We're still talking about it. So after that, I will have to make a decision. Either go for a video game we want to release, and this time it will be a video game, that means software, obviously, or go for the Moonstone. There is another thought, I like being honest, of releasing Moonstone as I go, in a really small campaign, just to get people hyped. I really like giving things for free as well. So in this one, we give like Moonstone Genesis. So I haven't decided yet, but I would love to see people liking that world. I would love that. I mean, it would be the ultimate dream for me because I love this world. I love the lore. I love everything about it.
Right on, right on. Now, I guess so. You know, what once you become a world famous tabletop RPG designer, are you guys looking to do the convention scene over in Europe to promote?
I'd love to.
I
Yeah.
mean, with all that
So,
free time you have.
yeah. So we go to conventions. I don't really, after COVID, I feel that this world changed a little bit
Mhm.
because most conventions have also like an online version,
Right.
where you meet amazing people and you can communicate. So we've tried that as
Mhm.
well. Um, but when it comes to conventions, we mostly go to software related ones because there are great opportunities there. And our flagship product is a software. Our collaboration with Matt Finch is a software. So,
Right.
we try to stay connected because you meet publishers, you meet other devs, you get ideas and things like that. But if we are super famous, as you said, yes, I will be attending.
Good. Good. Um so gosh, let's see what else. Now, I'm guessing that as Moonstone develops, you just kind of mentioned software. Are you going to dovetail this into things that you're doing on the software side?
Well, everything we release, even if it's a small quest, we try to also implement it in RPG stories.
Okay.
First, because it's easy for us to do. So all these miniatures will go into RPG stories. Easy. It will take like a week to do it. But the whole world, no.
Okay.
I believe it's a book, and it should be a book. Um, and I've seen that before. People tend to create these things by themselves. Either way, the community will go and create something around Moonstone if they like the book, and they do it better than we do always. So yeah, we always promote RPG stories in our campaigns. Even in this one, you can pledge for RPG stories again, get it at a discount with all the miniatures in it. RPG stories VT, it's our flagship. It's what we do. Yeah,
All
there it
right.
is. There it is.
Very cool. Ah, there we go. You can for those you can have a Kit Bash Model 3D package for RPG stories, guys. There you go. If you haven't gotten into it, Aggie and I actually I should have linked to that. If I had had my wits about me, I would have. But just a few months ago, Aggie was on and we talked about RPG stories. You can check that out if you want to find out all the cool stuff with the RPG stories and how you can make your VTT pop like nobody's business. And as he said, there are little hooks for it, but it is its own thing. And I like that you're, you know, in this case, you're keeping your chocolate and your peanut butter separate. So I appreciate that you're approaching this from a let's look at this as pen and paper and not just more fodder for our software project.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I certainly appreciate that. So now clearly you funded, you've hit that. And guys, you got to get in on this. It's got 3 weeks, 3 weeks, but there's no reason if you got the spare change to not jump onto this. Um, but assuming everything goes to plan with this, do you have a specific time you'd like to take the next step? Do you know what would be the next step, or is it just kind of wait and see how this plays out, and then we'll decide that when we get there?
Well, the next step will be campaigns like this one are complicated to fulfill because anything might go wrong with printing and the shipping. So you need to focus on that because we've proven in the past we really care to deliver on time. So and that's the main reason we are working with specific people to do the printing and the shipping instead of just going in a random factory in I don't know where, I don't know, in China or in Greece or whatever. So we are going to work hard with that. We also want to work with a really cool artist from Italy. I really love that guy who is going to do the whole design of the book
Mm-hmm.
to make it look cool. Another thing I want to do is that since we are funding as we go higher, I want to do more art for the book and spend a little bit more money on that because I personally, what I loved with D&D back then in the 90s is that as I was reading the book, I could see all this art and it will take me on a journey in my head, wanting me to play. So I want to add more art. So after that, it's going to be probably the pets project, and we
Mm-hmm.
are thinking, okay, I'm going to say it. I hope that my lead developer is not here and he's not going to kill me. So one thing I dream of doing is creating a video game, and at the same time, it will also be a book, and at the same time, it will also be VTT compatible. So it's a huge third part thingy that will deal with mega dungeons.
Nice.
So it's a mega project. So the idea says to have a video game where the player goes into a mega dungeon, kills monsters, finds items, and dies, and then raises back in town, goes back to the mega dungeon with riddles and things like that. But at the same time, with the same technology, we're going to build the video game. We want to implement that in our VTT, and with a click of a button, create mega dungeons for people to use. And at the same time, in the same project, we want to release a mega dungeon. And by mega dungeon, because some people don't know what a mega dungeon means, we are not talking about a big dungeon. I think you are the best person to explain what a mega dungeon is, how big it is actually.
Yeah, I mean a mega dungeon typically uh now it's funny because the nomenclature is fairly new. But a mega dungeon tends to be a multi-level dungeon with dozens and dozens of rooms on each respective level. Something like Temple of Elemental Evil is a good mega dungeon. And that's probably, when it comes to mega dungeons, Gary's published magnum opus. Now, he of course designed the Castle Greyhawk dungeons, which were
Yeah.
enormous but unpublished. Um, but the back, at the dawn of Dungeons and Dragons as a hobby, the nomenclature was just dungeon. There was no, well, this is a mega dungeon. No, that's just how big dungeons were. But as published modules started to come out, and you said, hey, we'd like to finish this adventure in a reasonable number of sessions, the size of the dungeon map began to shrink.
I've
And
seen maps that they're like endless, and
yeah,
Yeah. So that's another thing we want to do. We want to create a mega dungeon that basically you will get in that dungeon level 1 and you will get out either dead or level 20. It's something that we've been discussing with the team like a lot of time, especially when it comes to software wise, for RPG stories and for a video game. I don't know if you've ever played The Eye of the Beholder in Amiga.
Yeah, I remember Eye of the Beholder. That was a great one.
Yeah, something similar to that, with riddles, monsters, treasure hunting, and a little bit of dialogues and role play. So yeah, the next one will probably be the pets for D&D, miniatures, book, and then we're going back to software.
Well, right on.
Sorry, also I want to mention that I dropped my Discord and my email in the chat in case
Okay.
someone wants to
All right.
contact.
Let me see here.
No, I mean in the YouTube chat.
Right.
For everyone to see. Yeah, it's the same.
Let me see. Unfortunately, I tell you what, shoot it to me in the private chat, and then I will cut and paste it, because I think it calls out URLs and emails when anyone but me puts them in in the chat. Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, private message them to me, and I will put them on the up on the screen, and you guys can and should check that out. Yeah, it blocks your links and emails. So
yeah, but that's it. Discord and email.
Alrighty.
Anyone who would like to contact me.
Okay.
Maybe someone who wants to create a class that uses cards instead of dice.
I think you caught his eye, Emmy. All right. So this is you on Discord, Aggie0668.
Yes.
And let's see. Let's get your Aggie at rpgstories.net. Again, I am putting that up on screen. So no excuse to not reach out to the man, and I will make sure that Emmy gets that info if she's already had to dip. She's in the UK, so it's
nice.
crazy late for her.
Yeah, same here. I'm in London.
All right, well, there you just up the road.
Yeah,
I don't know where she's at in the UK. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
and
I get that.
London is a huge place. Even if she's in London, we probably live 2 hours apart.
Yeah, no. I get that. I get that a lot from folks around the world. Oh, I have a friend who went to Florida. Maybe you met him.
Yeah.
22 million. There's more people in Florida, I think, than like in many small European countries. So no offense.
Yeah. I mean, Greece has 11 million people, and London has more than 11 million people.
You could fit 2 Greases in Florida. So but anyway, anything else? Is there anything else that you want to tell us about this wonderful project, man?
Well, all I want to say is that visit the Kickstarter, read about it, download the free PDF of Moonstone, because I really love what we've put together. If you want to back the project and get at least the PDF and help us raise more funds, we tend to reinvest them instead of going on holidays. As you can see, it's almost 3 a.m. and I'm here giving an interview.
So he's talking to some nerd. So you guys, you have to appreciate the hustle.
We really like to create, and your support means the world.
Hey man, I'm here for the vibe, and I'm more than happy to talk about something that will definitely have a first edition AD&D version soon.
Yes. We will do it. Yeah, you have my word.
Aggie.
And then I wanna see a video where you use this necromancer to torture your players.
You know what? I just might do it.
Yeah,
You watch out. I
you
just
should.
might do it. Well, listen, man, it has been an absolute gas having you here tonight. It's 3. Get some sleep,
Likewise.
man. Get some
Yeah,
sleep.
it's time. It's time.
I will make sure that Emmy gets your contact deets.
Thank you.
I am going to I'm going to go ahead and send you back into the green room. Help yourself. We've got some pistachios and some Crevassier back there. So get yourself a snack. Anyway, Aggie, thank you for being here. It's
I
wonderful to
thank
see you.
you.
Let's, you know what, when this wraps up, let's wrap up. It might be after the holidays, you know, because things are going to start getting busy. You know,
Yeah,
it's Christmas time, Thanksgiving over here. You know, it's going to
yeah,
get pretty busy. But I would love to see you after the first of the year if you're game.
yeah. It's always a pleasure to come here. I mean, our conversations are amazing. Your channel is amazing. And for the people who are watching or are going to watch in the future, just subscribe to this channel because people like the Dungeon Delver really need it. So it's just a click for you, but for the channel is everything. So just click the subscribe button. It's easy
Thank you,
to
brother.
do.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
we will see you next time. I'm going to slide you over here. Everybody else, we will be back tomorrow night. We are going to live play our session 3 of our Shocktober Halloween Call of Cthulhu mini campaign. The Lights on Chiha Mountain. So be sure to tune in for that. Don't miss that. And of course, I will see you all then tomorrow night. And listen, as you're walking home on this chilly autumn, or I guess I should say fall evening, do have a care and try and stay out of the arms of the owl bear. Peace. Good night. Love you. See you all.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.